We've got a great agenda, and not only that, we've got a lot of the candidates who are going to be here this week speaking to us about their plan to help cities and towns. So our members are very excited to hear what these candidates for statewide office have to say about the issues that we care about.
First of all, it's great to see everybody. I made so many friends over the last 12 years I've been representing y'all, and I get a lot of invitations to come to your towns for your 5Ks and your festivals, and I really always enjoy each and every one of them. I'll give you one word of caution. Mayor Bass asked me from Long Beach to come down to their Mardi Gras parade. So I came down, and he said, look, if you want to, you can walk from the back all the way out to, where we're going to finish by the City Hall. So I said, good, and I went down, I started walking, and there, it's a big family event. If y'all haven't been, it's wonderful. And they pull the trucks up and they put the rear down, and they sit on the back of them. So as I was walking along, hi, I'm Delbert Hoseman, I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. People were very nice, and I came upon this man. This is Saturday. I came upon this man, and he looked like he had been there since about Thursday. And the back of his pickup truck was full of beer cans. So I said to him, being real cute, I said, sir, I'm real worried you may run out of beer before the parade finishes. He looked at me and he said, no, dumb politician. He said, that's why I park right here in front of the Winn-Dixie. These people are professional. Now, so you guys from up north Mississippi, I'm telling you, don't get in their way. Since you hired me, I've raised $1 billion for public education through 16th section land. That wasn't easy. We've acquired 20,000 acres of Mississippi land for public use, so you and your children, your grandchildren can have a place to go in public. If you walk out that door and walk down just a little bit, you can see Cat Island. You own it now. In Mississippi, I've been devoted to making sure we had public spaces for public entities. You and mayors and your aldermen all know how important that is. We're the most automated Secretary of State in the country. We have something called Y'all Business. You can look up your county and determine what your census data is, all the financial information you need, and all of the demographic information you need to bring businesses to your county. No other state has that. We've won 10 or 12 national awards for that. We worked hard to train your election commissioners. They're working hard right now. We started the casting the ballots. We cast for our military and overseas. I believe in that. I ended up in the desert in Kuwait last year. 8 years ago, I ended up in Afghanistan, getting our military overseas people to vote and cast their ballots. So important to us. We implemented voter ID. They said that could never be done in Mississippi. You'll get sued forever. Thousands of people will be disenfranchised. Well, guess what? We've issued 7,000 free IDs to people who never had them before. We didn't disenfranchise anybody. We enfranchised our Mississippi people to go cast their ballot. And I'm real proud of that. It's been going on for 5 years now. We drafted the autism bill. As you know, many of you know, in your county, in your church, in your social circles, maybe even in your family, we have autistic children. They deserve the right. 1.5% of them are born every year autistic in Mississippi. It's an epidemic. They deserve the right to be educated in our public schools. They deserve the right to have the same benefits you do, to work and grow and prosper in Mississippi. Now they have insurance coverage to cover them from 3 until unlimited to make sure they can join your municipality work for you. We answer the phone 65,000 times a year. 65,000 times a year you call us. And we answer it 98% of the time within 10 seconds with somebody that's happy you called. I think that's been one of our most important things. That's the things like the city does. I recognize who I work for. And I answer the phone. Every Monday morning I get a report, and it better be 98% of the time we picked up the phone. We're glad you called us when you called us. And by the way, my budget that I requested this year is less than the year I started 12 years ago. We manage your money. We understand what you're sending us, and I want to be very cautious about it. Frank and them asked us to answer some questions, so I want to do that. First of all, I think citizens should have the right to increase their own taxes in their local place. Why wouldn't you have that right? It's theirs. As long as that is exercised with a specific purpose in mind and sunset when you get through paying it. I think cities and municipalities deserve the right to have their individual citizens determine whether or not they should pay more taxes. Mississippi is run by the cities and the counties. That's real important. It's not run in the capital. And the more of us that realize that, the more I got out and about Mississippi and traveled all over Mississippi, it became more and more obvious to me. You have the right, and you should have the right to regulate your own home. You should have the right to regulate your own city and to annex areas as you grow. I've never understood why you'd be restricted on that. I do not know why a small city, I don't know any small city in Mississippi that's overfunded for municipalities for infrastructure. And we will continue to give our small municipality grants that you depend on to improve your water, sewers, and all the other things that you do in Mississippi as a small town. The Senate will go ahead. One of the things that Frank and them have worried about and complained about before is we have these secret meetings. We're not going to have secret meetings with the Senate anymore. We'll post our meetings 24 hours in advance and the agenda. So if we've got an issue that Sherry or you or anybody or Glenn or anyone needs to come to see us, or Billy Hughes or any of the rest of you as you elect them, if you've got an agenda for us, I want you to know what's there, and I want you to have time to come sit and talk with us. That's a little bit different. I want to go back. This state is not run in the capital. It's not run on High Street. It's run in Houston and Hernando. It's run in Hattiesburg and Hazelhurst. It's run in Holcomb and Hollandale. And it's run in Hurley. That's the ones that are most important to me. The mayor was just exactly right when he was talking. If there's a problem with the garbage, if there's a problem with the sewer, if there's a problem with the water, if there's a problem with the jail, if there's a problem with anything, they don't call the Secretary of State. They don't call the governor, the lieutenant governor. They call you. You are the most important people to making sure that Mississippi operates, and you're the most important people to me. I want to tell you where we're going in the future, and it's time for Mississippi to proceed over. We've got low unemployment. We've had great strides in raising our individual children who get graduated now from high school, 82% of them. The most important thing to you is going to be an educated workforce, and I will devote most of my time to that issue. You'll need to make sure that your children can get an education in your schools and stay there and work there. That's how we keep our kids there. I was in Leakesville the other day. They have a training program right next to the high school. They're training these young men and women to be able to be welders and pipe fitters. They start at $25 to $40 an hour, and they stay there. They go out to work and come back to live there. That's how we'll improve our small communities in Mississippi. That's the educated workforce, and we will have pre-K in every school that asks for it. That's the seed that you're going to plant. They may never vote for you, but they'll end up running Mississippi. So we'll have pre-K to make sure our children get educated. And no citizen should be further than 30 minutes from an emergency room in Mississippi. I understand under the latest act that we passed, we have to throw out the high and the low, and some of you had 3 zeros in between. That's something we'll work on as soon as I get back in the legislature to make sure that small towns are not excluded from the improvements that came about from the Infrastructure Modernization Act. We're going to reorganize state government. Hang with me. We have 207 agency boards and commissions. We have grown like kudzu all over as we've gone up. You may not think that's important to you. It's critical to you, and I'll need your help to do that. The reason is every dollar we save, every time we're more efficient, every time we cut our budget just like I do, that money's coming to you. It's coming to education infrastructure in the cities. You will have a stake in what we do there. Help me reorganize our state government. Help me have it more efficient. Help me do what we need to be doing. Thank you so much for having so glad to see so many of my friends here and have a chance to visit with all of y'all. I am so looking forward to working with you for the next 4 years. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Well, y'all know the difference between a northern fairy tale and a southern fairy tale? A northern fairy tale starts with once upon a time, and a southern fairy tale starts with y'all ain't gonna believe this. Now that I've served in the Mississippi legislature, I can tell you that that's not a fairy tale. I'm Jay Hughes, and I want to be your next lieutenant governor, and I want to remove that from being what people say when we go into session. You see, I'm an active duty military veteran, just like my father was. I believe in a transparent and representative democracy. I believe that I have a lifetime of experiences and public education that prepares me to be able to give back and serve my state just like I served my country. Experience matters, and while some people were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, I was born with a plastic spoon in mine. My dad worked in the oil field. My mom did every single job from being a newspaper reporter to a truck driver. She and he are where I got my morals and my values. I went to public school every single day of my education career. I went to vocational technical school in high school for junior and senior year. And I realized that's where we are doing a disservice to our students today. And that's in every community. I've worked every job from newspaper salesman to a door-to-door grit salesman, oyster shucker, bus boy, waiter, you name it, and I've done that job. One of the best jobs I had was getting out of Votech and being able to start as a carpenter's helper the day after I graduated from high school and earn more than double what minimum wage was then, which was about $2.05. But the reality is, if we are going to continue and only assume every child goes to college, then we are going to fail half of our children. And I say that as someone who has gone from signing the back of a check to signing the front of a paid check. And I understand those needs from a first-hand basis. What is my agenda? My agenda is people, period. And it doesn't matter whether they look like me, act like me, or think like me. That's the current way of leadership. I believe in all people, regardless of where they are. I also believe in the public, and that is public education. That means I'm fighting for health care. I know personally how long it takes to get to a hospital before it's a life event. My mother died in the back of an ambulance on the way to a hospital that was only 12 miles away. So 30 minutes is even too far. We need them in every single community. I believe that we need to address and accept mental illness and addiction recovery. It is tearing apart our local communities, our law enforcement. We have to deal with that. It touches every single family in the state. And I believe in roads and bridges, not the sham special session we did last year that really didn't do anything for anybody. We've got to address these roads and bridges every year. As a former truck driver, and as my mom was a truck driver, I know that 80,000 pounds is what it takes to get goods into and out of a community in order to have business and growth. When you've got a weight-restricted 10-ton bridge at the front of your town, it says, we are not open for business here. We need to realize in Jackson that there are 82 counties, not just 4 or 5 lucky ones, that there are 250 cities and towns, not just 4 or 5 of the big ones. You know, I don't owe a career of personal favors to be where I am today. I owe my faith and my father a duty to keep my father's good name and follow the morals and values that I got in home. What I also do is think daily about my foundation when I'm thinking about what I do serving the people is Matthew 25:40. Too many elected officials have forgotten that, and that's what you do for the least of my brothers and sisters, you do for me. We are the highest poverty rate in the United States, and we need to address that reality. Now, I agree with Secretary Hosemann that it starts with workforce, but it also starts with quality public education in every single community. I've gone from growing a business from 1 person to several hundred, and I know what it takes. We need people to show up. We need people to care. That's very hard to find in a lot of places because they've given up hope. And you know what? When a business is coming to a community and they want to decide whether or not they're going to be there, they don't ask you what laws you've passed about moral issues or anything like that. They want to know, tell me about your public schools, your public health care, and your roads and bridges. That's what matters. And we're not addressing it. They're killing every single bill every year when we try to improve those 3 things. I will not do that. I owe no favors. I will pass legislation for people, period. Now, the biggest divide, here's what I can tell you after 71,000 miles in that little RV y'all saw strategically parked out front. The biggest divide is not between Republicans and Democrats. It is between career politicians and your working man and woman in your small towns in Mississippi that get left out of every bill process. Now, career politicians claim that they're all for local control. And they get down to Jackson and get dyslexic and they're all for controlling local. That's what it is. Everything they do says we're going to control you. We're going to give unfunded mandates to you. And better yet, if you want anything for your community, you're going to have to come down here and kiss the ring. I don't believe in kissing the ring. I don't believe that you should have to fall in line and go kiss a ring to do what's best for your community. You ought to be able to do it yourself. So we got asked a few questions. I can just be real simple. We don't need to equivocate on these. I 101% support home rule and local option. You know best what's good for your town. I 100% support annexation as it currently exists and don't believe that we need to turn the dog inside out and let one little area block the growth of your community, because you either grow or you die. You know that. We all know that. And I 100% believe in the sales taxes that are collected. They call them use tax. It makes it more passable. That are collected from internet sales should go back to where they're collected. I can tell you that. Now, whether you are in Woodville or Woodland, the reality is, if Amazon can figure out how to get my dog's treats to my front door overnight, the Department of Revenue sure better be able to figure out where my front door is. Another problem, so I talk about it all starts with education, because it does. It does, to the point where I provide to my local school districts my legislative salary, because I put my money where my mouth is, and that's investing in the future. And when the career politicians underfund our public schools every single year, your local school districts have to raise the taxes, and then you get the blame for it. Some places don't have anything to raise taxes on, so their children do without. I want to stop that. Now, the small municipalities and limited counties population grant is critical to so many of these towns. Y'all, over half of our cities, well, 85% are less than 10,000. Over half of them are less than 1,500. A $20,000 match is a death sentence to a grant for these small communities, and we've got to fund these things every year, not just in an election year. We need to take care of public education every year, not just discover it in an election year. I believe in Main Street over Wall Street. I grew up in a small town. I believe that that's where we need to be investing. Transparency has absolutely left the Capitol for many years. And while I respect Secretary Hosemann saying that he's going to have transparency, I'm telling you, not only will I have an open door policy, I will take that door off the hinges. Anybody who's come through and visited my booth this year, last year, or the year before has got a business card from me, and it's got my cell phone number on it. My personal cell phone number, and it rings because I work for you, and you shouldn't have to have a lobbyist to come down to Jackson and visit with your lieutenant governor, and I promise you that. Now, imagine if we had the committee hearings where I'm pledging to you, we have hearings where agendas are posted, where the bills are out there. Sunshine cures so much shenanigans, and we wouldn't have $2 million sneaky Pete's at the end of the day. So the bottom line is, I don't believe leadership has respected what y'all are doing every single day of the year. They claim that they've done tax cuts. No, they haven't. They've done tax shifts. It's time to respect and serve all citizens in all counties and all towns. I'm Jay Hughes. I need and I humbly ask you for your vote this fall on November the 5th. God bless you, and thank you very much.